Welcome to The Sober Unicorn. We are a gay-hosted, all-inclusive podcast about sobriety and addiction recovery for the LGBT plus community and all of our allies. I am your host, Holden, and thank you for joining us today. Hey, it's Holden, and I am an alcoholic. I hope everybody's doing well today. Today, I'm being joined by Jared.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hello, Jared. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing very well. I'm thankful that you were able to join us today.
Glad to be here.
Everybody, it's Easter today, and thankfully Jared was able to come on. He and I actually started chatting through Instagram. You posted, I believe, like one of your milestones, and I shared it, and I think that's how we started communicating. Um, so Jared, why don't you tell everybody like your name, age, and what your drug of choice was, and how long you've been sober?
My name is Jared. I'm from Kansas originally, but now I live in Florida. I'm 27 years old, and my drug of choice was alcohol, cocaine, and marijuana, the party trio, as most of you guys know it. And this next week, the 20th, will be a year and a half.
That's amazing. That's 18 months is a huge milestone for many people.
That it is. I'm looking forward to it.
So why don't, before we get into the topic of the episode, why don't you give everybody kind of a small backstory on what led up to you needing or wanting to get sober and how that journey looked for you?
Well, me needing to, well, okay, so I guess this probably goes back to about 2018 or so. My mom is also an addict. So she had came down here to Florida to get help and then had recommended that I come down to get help because I had problems with my mental health as well as addiction. So as far as depression, anxiety goes, I was I was down. I was down a lot, like to the point to where I had tried to kill myself twice. So it was time that I had like actually seeked some major help in my life. And so I came down here and I got some help with my mental health. And then I had been down here for about 6 months. Was in and out of like trying to decide if I wanted to even work a program, and I didn't go through the steps. And I thought that I could just do it on my own. I could just use my free will, and that I was telling myself that I didn't have a problem, and I just want to get out of my way, so that when I left, I had relapsed, and then after that, I had went back home to Kansas. Went home to Kansas, and then I started to fall down the slope again. And then I wasn't working. I was just drinking and drugging. And then my mom just like up and sold the house. And then I was like, okay, it's time for me to get my shit together. So then I decided to move back down here. And here I am a year and a half later. And I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Well, that's incredible. So it seems like Kansas for you is a place you don't want to be.
Definitely not where I want to be. I'll always claim it. It'll always be my home, but there's so much toxic and toxicity there that it's just not even worth even dealing with. Like, I'm about to have to go home sometime soon because I'm having family issues back home that I'll need to be there for. And I don't know, I've just been kind of mentally preparing myself for that.
Of course. And so what, like, how, of course, you said you didn't know if a program was for you. So when getting sober and being successful at a year and a half, what tools did you use and why did they finally stick for you?
Uh, Taking suggestions, buckling down, knowing that I need to get this shit done because I don't have anything to fall back onto. It's the streets or I get this right. and just knowing that, and then learning to just shut the fuck up, listen to what the old timers are saying, apply these situations into my own life while still making it work and finding the balance in all of it altogether was just really what helped me the most. Um, just taking advice, like finally being able to just soak up and absorb the knowledge and just letting go of everything from the past, letting go of everything that was in my way, mostly myself. That's one of the biggest things is getting out of your own way to succeed.
Yeah, I mean that is super important. I think going into any try to kind of program for recovery, it's you need to sit down and just listen for a while and soak up all the knowledge that's in those rooms and by the people that have been through it, have recovered, possibly relapsed, and then got recovered again. And so we are going in there with our tails between our legs most of the time when going into treatment or going into recovery rooms. And it's so important that we don't know what recovery is because we haven't journeyed through that yet. So it's so important just to listen to the old timers and what they have to say.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, well, of course, going into the episode topic, freeing your mind or free your mind, um, what does that term mean to you?
Freeing your mind basically means letting go of your thought process and being able to live presently. So, when it comes to addiction long term or addiction even like short term, once you get sober, like you always think about like those first couple weeks of like how your mind is just tumbling and turning over itself, like going battling back and forth. And it's just about letting all of that go, being present, keeping yourself active, and just getting out of your own head. Just have to stay out of your head, like at all
Yeah,
costs.
no, 100%. I think, of course, for me, the first few weeks of sobriety, it was just like I still found myself going to bars and kind of testing my fate, just kind of seeing if I could do it or not. So play stupid games, win stupid prizes, um, is what I had to deal with. But you have to get out of yourself and you have to let go of any preconceived notion that you may have. And that was the the biggest hurdle for me was kind of getting out of my own prejudice of religion, higher power, or spirituality, and being a fully open minded to do anything in order to stay sober.
Yeah, definitely. I myself uh battle that from time to time too, since I'm a dancer, so going out and dancing is a huge part of my life. So testing the waters there, be sober, is a great test. It's it's not something that I struggle with any longer because I've gone through it so many times now that the people that I'm with know that I'm sober and know that if they're gonna, I guess, engage around me, that I'm not partaking in anything whatsoever. Like they know that always bring me a water.
So you said your drug of choice was weed, cocaine, and alcohol. So many
Mm-hmm.
people choose to go California sober. Is that something you chose, or is that something you're against?
Uh, Now I do see marijuana as a mind altering substance, and I'm still torn between the whole California sober and whatnot because there's a thin line that lies there. Like there's people with medical issues that need it. I had a coworker that we just recently had to fire, and he's the guy who actually did my intake in the halfway house that I'm in, and I looked up to him, and he was down on his luck, so I'd gotten him this job, and he had medical issues that had elongated and had gotten a lot worse, and he went California sober. So I've been at this battle of like, where do I draw that line? I see both sides, but I lean more towards it's not okay, because if you're going to be sober, you don't want anything that's going to change your mind thought and your attitude and everything. So I lean more towards that side, but I understand it, and I'm not gonna shame anybody out there who is California sober. Like it's a baby step.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've had a few guests on here that were California sober. One of them specifically used it to deal with chronic pain because her issues with opioids. And so she chose to be California sober rather than drug addicted to opioids. Um, and for me, like when I used to smoke weed, it gave me that same effect of liquor, like that downer effect of that more
Mm.
chill. And so I feel it would open the gate for me just to be like, oh, well, if I can control this after feeling this way, that I would go back down the liquor hole. And who knows how long I would be there that time. So you
Yeah.
said you're a dancer. So do you
Yeah.
see dancing being your outlet and just kind of in a way we find that when we're sober we do things to keep ourselves busy to keep our mind off of drinking. Do you find that that's that for you?
Yeah, most definitely. It's my healthy escape. Everybody out there needs a healthy, conducive escape, and that is mine. That has always been mine. I just had a battle yesterday, and I was trying to get out of my head the entire day, and I'm around other people that are smoking and drinking and whatnot, and but they all know me and they all know that I don't do that. But it's uh it's definitely what makes me happy. It's what I found purpose in, and it's what I enjoy the most. So it's one of those things that I couldn't remove from my life, because when I had nothing, that's all I had.
And
And
how do you find the acceptance of that community? Of course, I've never been a part of the dance community, so I don't know if it's very drug alcohol driven. So if it is alcohol or weed driven, how do you find support and camaraderie still in that community?
yeah, most definitely. I have people, and like I'll tell people, I'll lay down a boundary line, like, hey, I don't do this. And they're like, okay, and I just have to protect my own space, protect my own peace. Most of the time, a lot of people see me just majority just guarded because of it, just because it's mine to protect, and I'm gonna protect it at all costs. So a lot of the times, I seem kind of standoffishy a little bit about it in that sense. Like it's not like I'm judging other people. It's just me protecting myself.
And I think that's what you have to do. I mean, especially me being in the LGBT community, it's very driven by liquor, and especially right now, meth is a huge player in that community as well. And so I have to be very guarded when going into any situation that includes a majority of that community because I already know what's going to be present there. So it's I got to go knowing full well, making sure my mind is right, that my connection, at least to God, is correct before going into any situation like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like you have to protect the peace. That's how you stay out of your mind.
Yeah, and I mean and I always have to remember that I can't be driven with self will. because that always got me into trouble previously.
Yeah.
So do you find that in your recovery, do you have a reliance upon any higher power to continue your sobriety, or do you find that you're able to do it without that?
Yes. So whenever I had moved back down here, um, my sponsor, he's a great guy. Shout out to Nick. He he's definitely saved me a couple times from myself, and he suggested that I work a faith-based program along with my regular program, and I felt more growth from that than I did in like in meetings and around fellowship. Honestly, I was so broken on the inside, and there was so much work internally to do that I just had connected more with that this time around.
So I've never heard of a faith-based program. I mean, of course, I work a 12-step program and it's very more spiritual. So could you
Mhm.
elaborate on like what a faith-based program entails for the people that may have not have heard of it?
It's just I was born and raised Catholic, and then so when I was in like I think it was like second grade, I was going to Catholic school, and my parents had gotten divorced. My mom had came out of the closet, and the Catholic Church was just completely scrutinizing her. Like my teachers were, the nuns were, the priests were, the church was, and it took its toll on me. And I had moved over to public school and had eventually just basically cut off my ties with God because I was like, God's not going to love my mom. I love my mom. I'm not going to not love my mom. And so basically at that point, I had cut off my ties with God. And then after having like long conversations, once I got down here, like with my sponsor, I realized that it wasn't God's fault that all this had happened in life, and everything around that was not on his behalf. That was just those people that thought that were representing God in the wrong way. So I had to take that into account and finally learn that lesson. And then I was able to step back into faith. And as far as a faith based program goes, it's just connecting back on to that plane with your higher power. So just being active in that, like this morning, Easter Sunday, and I didn't get home from my battle till probably close to midnight, and I had to wake up at 6, so I only got like 5 hours of sleep. And I got there, I was tired, but just being there woke me up. I helped out with two services, got to sit down for one, and the second service was completely full. It was beautiful. It was a good day so far.
So faith-based services more go into religious ties then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Which I mean, I think religion can be super beneficial for a lot of people. I think some people, as we have kind of discussed, there's a certain prejudice against religion, but I think you said it very well. It's not God that causes that prejudice. It's the wrong outlook and stuff of the followers, the misrepresentation of it. Which I've never really thought about it that way because it was the followers that pushed me out of the church years ago when I was very active. Um, and so that's been kind of my biggest hurdle is getting over that prejudiceness and going from being incredibly religious to atheist to now spiritual, but wanting to find ties back into religion,
Yeah,
but making sure that you find a space that is safe for you and that is accepting and tolerable, not tolerable, but it's effective like people that actually represent the religion in the correct way.
yeah, definitely. The church that I'm in, they're called Anchor, and they accept people from all walks of life. As far as sobriety goes, there, we're all treated the same. We're all loved the same. We all act as a family. We're all there for one another, and we're all there just to help each other grow.
So is there actually like a sober program in that church?
There's not a sober program within the church, but there's a lot of people in sobriety that go there.
Oh, okay, that's actually awesome. So you have those people to kind of lean on and see in a different light. Because I mean, as you said, going into the rooms and the fellowship, a lot of them are very anti-religious. They're very spiritual based.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's good to have those people to lean on that are a lot more religious based for you to connect with.
Yeah, there's quite a few churches down here that are like that, as far as Florida goes.
I've heard Florida has a huge amount of treatment facilities and rehabs.
Yes, yes. Where I'm at, like, let's see, I have West Palm like north of me, and there's a ton there. And then extending like all the way down to Miami is like the hub of like treatment facilities.
I've been to Florida one time and I absolutely loved Florida, but it's way too expensive to live there.
Oh, yes. It is very expensive. Like even just trying to save up money in a halfway house now with this inflation that's going on has been rough.
Yes. So I know it's Easter Sunday, so I don't want to keep you too terribly long. So is there anything that we haven't discussed or shared that you would like to share with everybody?
Keep your head up. Um, know that you can do it. Know what you need to do. Do the work. Do the work after you've done the work because there's always work to be done internally. Know that it's internally. Um, love everybody that you see as if they are yourself, and be kind to yourself because we all beat each other up the most. We're our worst critic. We lie to ourselves the most, more than people lie to us. So just be honest with yourself, love yourself, and don't pick up.
That is very true. And I think being kind to yourself ties into a lot of self love. And you have to have self love in order to, I feel, succeed in sobriety. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to lie to yourself until you go back to whatever substance you were using.
Definitely. It's if you can't take care of your head, and then you've already lost. You can't let your head get in the way of what you're trying to achieve, and getting out of your mind or outside of your head is how you succeed in that.
Exactly. So this is a time to plug in any social media. So if anybody like resonated with your story and wants to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
They could do that through Instagram. It's my dance handle. It's at Jayhawk Rock, RAWK official. That is my Instagram. You can find me there on TikTok, and yeah,
Awesome. Well,
I'm here.
thank you so much for joining us again, Jared.
Not a problem. I'm glad to be here. I hope you have a
Awesome.
great Easter.
Thank you again for listening to today's episode. Hit that follow button to be notified about new episodes every week. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram at The Sober Unicorn Podcast or on our website at thesoberunicornpodcast.com. There you will find our episodes as well as our very own sober-owned shop featuring products from small businesses that are sober-owned. And remember everyone, don't be normal, be a unicorn, but better yet, be a sober unicorn.